Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 123 of the Podcana podcast. This week, we're going to be talking about all of the news that was just shown on the Lorecast. That is the set 10, set 11, and even set 12 news. I'm joined by some amazing folks. We have Zach Bivens and Thiago, the Purple Steel Master, joining me, and we are going to be going on a journey together talking about some of these newly revealed cards. Gentlemen, how are you doing? I'll start off with Thiago. We had you on the pod last week, and you're back already. The people loved you that much.
Yeah, no, it's good to be back. I'm excited to dive into some of these new cards.
Awesome. And Zach, how are you doing, my friend?
I am great. Thanks for inviting me here.
Well, without further ado, let's jump straight into the cards because I know everybody is excited. Kicking things off, of course, we have the lovely full art of Whispers in the Well. This set is all about detectives. It's about gargoyles. And, of course, what's in the name? Whispers. This is a new classification for characters that we're going to be getting into. It has the new boost mechanic. So, kicking things off, we do have these gorgeous iconic cards, which I have to say, for the Mickey and Minnie, I think it's very Disney. It's very nice. But these ones, I don't know. I personally love the art style. I think this Hades not only looks dope, but I think the effect is pretty good. So let's get started here. So Hades is a 5-cost inkable Amethyst card. He's a 3/4 that quests for 1 with the ability, what do you say? When you play this character, you may choose an opposing character. If you do, draw 2 cards unless that character's player puts that card on the bottom of their deck. I'm going to start with you, Zach. What are your initial thoughts on this card? And by the way, you can be as positive as negative, be as honest, brutally honest about the cards as you want.
Okay, I'm going to be a little more positive here, just because I feel like I'm going to be a little more negative as we go along here.
All right.
So the art on both of these cards is just awesome. Like, I definitely resonate more with these characters than like a Mickey or Minnie. So art, I love it. The effect is not horrible. I mean, yeah, it's playable is what I'll say. We'll see how good it is. Testing will tell us that. But yeah, I like it more than the Mickey and Minnie at least.
Tiago, any thoughts?
Basically, I think that to look at a card like this, you have to kind of grade it as if this effect of drawing 2 cards when it comes in is like something you always want to do. Because a card like this, if it was a 5-cost 3/4 that always banished your opponent's strongest character, like that would be the most broken card in the game. But basically, your opponent gets the choice, right, to either give you 2 cards or put the card on the bottom of their deck. So they're always going to like choose the one that's most negative for you.
Sure.
So it's generally going to be this draw 2 cards one, because like drawing 2 cards does not cost 5 ink, right? And banishing a character. We have cards like Dragonfire that we can compare to in Finder's Keeper. So like at the same cost, like, and being inkable, we're drawing 3 cards to banishing a character of our choice. So this draw 2 cards is like generally going to be the one that's going to be selected for us. And so would we want to play a 5-cost 3/4 that draws 2 cards when it comes in? It's like an okay card, but I don't know if it's going to always make the cut in the purple decks, especially when the 5-cost slot is so contested between like Elsas and Bells and things like that.
Yeah, and if it quests for 2, it would be a lot better.
Yeah, because the body on this is just not worth that much, right?
Yeah.
It's worth like probably slightly less than 3 ink. So
I think I'm going to slightly disagree with you guys. I think this card is quite good. I do recognize that exactly what you said, Thiago, your opponent will always choose the least good option for you, whether that be you get rid of the card. I think this card would be really bad if it basically had like the Tremaine effect where they choose the character, because then they'll also choose the worst character, and then it's like a double negative nearly. But I don't know, for me, if I'm playing a 5-cost inkable 3/4 that guarantees me 2 cards every turn and it's a body, I think it's okay. I think that the fact that this card's inkable is also huge. I think if it was uninkable, it would be a lot harder to slot in most of the time. Yeah. I think we could see a lot of Amethyst decks playing this. But again, this is like so contextual to like what are all of the other 5-cost cards going to be. As you mentioned, Thiago, we already have Elsa. We already have Belle. These are super solid cards. So are we playing like, I don't know, these 12 cards now of like Hades, Elsas, and Bells? I don't know, but I'm slightly more positive on this card, I think. But time will tell, right? It's so context based as well.
Yeah, I think in like the purple decks that are not looking to play Bella as much because they don't have as good bodies to hold damage. Like in a deck like Purple Steel, you don't hold damage as well as a deck like Blurple does.
Yeah,
Blurple, the Blurple deck does. So you're not as interested in playing a card like Bell, so you have more space for something like this. So I think we would kind of see it more so in that context. Like I don't think Blurple is like super interested in playing a card like this, but I think some of the other purple decks that aren't able to utilize Bell as well might be more interested.
makes sense. Yeah. Moving on to Aerial, we have this is a 4-cost inkable 3/4 with an Amber that quests for 2. The Ethereal Voice with the ability Command Performance. Once during your turn, whenever you play a song, if there's a card under this character, you may draw a card. And it also has Boost 1. Boost is the new mechanic within Whispers in the Well. If, for those of you who are unaware, it's once per turn, you may pay this cost to put the top card of your deck underneath this character card. So, there is something else to note about boosting in general. That is, like, if you, I don't know, if you have a boosted card and your opponent plays Hades on it, both of those cards will go to the Inkwell. If they bounce it, both of the cards will go to your hand. So, I don't know. A lot of people, when you think about a card like, I don't know, say like One Jump Ahead or anything that inks the top card of your deck, I know so many people are like, oh, I wish I knew the card that was inked. In my opinion, it doesn't matter. It could be the bottom card of your deck. It could be whatever. Unless you're like giga stacking your deck, it literally doesn't matter. However, I kind of like how the boost interaction works, where if we ever see some ways where like you can boost something and then you self bounce, you're basically gaining 2 cards back, which I think is quite interesting. So boost mechanic overall seems quite intriguing to me. However, I think this card is extremely difficult to evaluate, mainly because we just don't know what the song pool is right now. Like, it's how everybody was like, oh, Powerline seems super, super good. And the last set, it's like, yes, Powerline has a powerful ability, but we have the smallest amount of songs we've ever had in the game right now, post rotation. So this card is very contextual on what type of songs we're going to get. But I'd love to pass it over to you, Zach, and maybe you share your thoughts on this card.
Yeah, so like my main problem with it is that it's like a pseudo 5-drop. You really can't use it on curve very well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the main problem there. It's not really a 4-drop if you want to use the actual effect. So you could play it on 4 and then it gets removed immediately, and then you didn't even get the whole point of the card, anyways.
Yep.
So I think that's the main problem. It's basically a 5-drop 3/4 that quest 2.
Mm-hmm.
So it has potential, like you said. We don't really know the songs, but I'm kind of low on it just for that reason, that it's not even good on curve.
Yeah. Thiago?
I think like again, it's super contextual on the songs we see played, but like at the end of the last set we saw these more like Steel Song variants that are like focused on just having a bunch of cards in their deck that 2-for-1, and then they're like playing the Beyond the Horizon shell, which is like kind of something we might see moving forward. But one of the whole reasons to play a deck like that is that we had the 3-cost Aerial Spectacular Singer, which is like a super core card to that kind of style. So I think like in a more value oriented deck, like there's definitely merit to playing something like this because you can play it on turn 5 and get a guaranteed activation from it where it draws you another card and then it's a body that trades with the opponent's board or a removal spell from them, and then you're able to make a bit of an advantage for you. But I think generally the stat line on this card is just a little bit too poor that it's really going to have to survive multiple turns for you to really take over the game with it.
Yeah, it's also important. This does also have, like, not only is boosting once per turn, this also has once during your turn for its actual text as well. So it's not like you can play a bunch of songs and really pop off. So it's funny that they chose these 2 iconics because you put them beside each other and it's like, yeah, this card on the left seems way better than the card on the right. You know, that it could just be this guaranteed 3/4 that you play and it draws you 2 cards. So yeah, that's the iconics. They do look incredible, of course, but moving on.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be getting into more of these Whisper cards. So we've got Simba, King in the Making, 7-cost Inkable Amber card, 5/5 quest for 3 with Boost 3. Whenever you put a character under this character, and whenever you put a card under this character, you may reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a character card, you may play that character for free and they enter play exerted. Otherwise, put it on the bottom of your deck. So I really like the flavor of this card. It's basically Mufasa, right? It's like the Mufasa from set 2. But this is like, in my opinion, a very, very, very unplayable card. And the main reason I'll say is like if this ever became like I don't know, people wanted to start playing this, if they had enough ink to start playing it. I mean, World's Greatest Criminal Mind is like the cleanest answer to this card I've ever seen. So, you know what I'm saying? If this ever did become meta, I feel like there's so many like efficient answers to get rid of this guy.
I think there's quite a few problems with this, unfortunately. I think this is a card people will probably be excited about, but yeah, I think there's a lot of weaknesses. So it costs 7 to start with. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's kind of tough, especially for Amber. Basically means you need to play it with Sapphire.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you are playing it with Sapphire, you're filling your deck with T-Pos and Cells and all these cards that you don't want to reveal off the top with this Simba. So like that's kind of counter synergistic there, but you got to get to the ink totals to play Simba. Um, and you really don't want to play him on turn 7 on 7 ink because then he's going to get Hades or just banished some way where you don't even get to use his effect. Um, so yeah, having the ink to play him is kind of hard in the first place, and if you do, you filled your deck with cards that you don't want to see off Simba. So I think he has a lot of weaknesses, unfortunately, but he's obviously a very cool card.
Yeah, cool card.
Yeah, I think the like 3 cost for his ability is like kind of interesting because you can build your deck where you're getting a big advantage off playing things for only 3. So if your deck has a lot of other cards that cost similar ink totals as the Simba, like 7, 8, and you're only paying 3 for them, that's like a huge advantage where you're drawing an extra card a turn and cheating a bunch of mana. But I think like the fact that it costs 7, you want to like keep him upright. Like you don't want to exert him to let him just die to like some 2 or 3 ink characters from the opponent. But then you're like holding back your 3 quester. Like so much of his stat line is in his questing ability and not in his like willpower or something that lets him survive removal spells. So I think it's just like really awkwardly statted for what his cost is. I think we might be able to see him in something like the green yellow Circle of Life decks that we've been seeing around now.
Yep.
But I think I don't even know if it's better than like a Surfer Stitch or a Clarabelle in that slot. Like I guess probably he is, but there's so many like small characters in that deck. Like they play like at
Bobbies and
least 10
stuff,
one
right?
drops and
Yeah.
yeah, all that like Yzmas and that kind of thing, as well as spells like Circle of Life to activate it. So I think it's extremely unlikely that we see this card played, but it's going to be a fan favorite for sure. A lot of people were like upset that Mufasa wasn't one of the reprinted legendaries in Fabled. So, well, they have something to look forward to.
Yeah, for sure. Then we have this Robin Hood and Steel 4 cost inkable 2/4 that quest for 2. Whenever this character quests, if there's a card under him, deal 1 damage to up to 2 chosen characters, and it's boost 1. Um, meh, maybe it's a little bit better. It's a little bit cheaper, but I just don't like the overall stat line of this card either. I just think a 2/4 that quests for 2 is it just doesn't really seem to be doing it for me. And also, it's super again. Everything's like super contextual because we're looking at these cards and
Mhm.
it's a 2/4, which right now in the meta is fine, but we know in the past something like Ruby likes to do strength based removal. So let's say we start to get more like strength based removal back in, future sets and stuff. This guy seems like he might be a little bit weak. But cool card. I like the design. I like being able to ping 2 different things. But even in, you know, right now, do I think pinging 2 things is gonna make like a massive difference? Ah, I don't know. Changes some breakpoints at least, right? If you're playing a steel deck, like allows your 2 cost 3/2s to challenge into genies if there's not a Madam Mim Tiny adversary. But you're putting so much ink and work in just to kind of get that done, right? I feel like you could be doing much better things. But interesting card, and maybe it might see a bit play. Thiago, would you test this out in your in your purple steel deck?
Most likely not. I think that this is like a really, really bad mana cost to be with an effect like this, where he only gets his effect when he quests, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he needs to survive a turn before doing anything, and he's just in the time frame where people are like ramping into Elsa's, or they played their 3 cost singer last turn, and so now this turn they can sing Strength of Raging Fire. It's like the perfect sweet spot where it gets hit by every single dex removal spell. And so a card like that really needs to have an effect when it comes in or get value in some way other than having to survive before doing anything. So I think that in the context of the meta, along with just not being a super well statted card, it's going to be really, really difficult for this card to see play.
Yeah.
he is similar to the Ariel too, to where I mean, he kind of just costs 5, not really 4.
Yeah,
So like,
yeah.
you're spending 5 ink to turn sideways with your 4 health, and then you're saying that my Captain Hook with the Skater Mim can kill it. So I can trade my 1 drop with your 4 or 5 drop character. So yeah, it's not very ink efficient at all. So yeah,
I
unfortunately, this one would be hard to play.
I do think though this one, because it cares about questing, is one of the ones where you might not have to pay the 5 immediately. It is technically still 5 ink investment, right? But you can play for 4, let it dry, and then
Mm.
that's the opportunity. So like anything that kind of wants to be questing or exerting or anything like that, these boosted characters they make a little bit more sense. But yes, in total you're still investing 5
Yeah.
5 ink. Moving on to the next cards, we have Megara, 3 cost inkable, 3/4 with an Emerald, Seeker Keeper, quest for 1, it has boost 1. While there's a card under this character, she gets +1 lore and gains whenever this character is challenged. Each opponent chooses and discards a card. I like this card a little bit better. Still don't think it's incredibly strong, but I think for paying 1, I think you get some decent extra abilities. 1 extra lore is quite nice. The body's not terrible for just the 3 cost at least. I mean, we play 3/4s within the meta right now. Granted, the 3/4s have evasive on our turn, but whenever this character's challenged, each opponent chooses and discards a card. Discarding is very minimal within the meta right now, at least, and I think it's still very impactful. If you're making your opponent lose a card, it's good. Um, so I don't think it's that bad, but I still don't think it's powerful enough that I want to be jamming this in the deck immediately. Any thoughts, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're probably not really going to be playing it. I think that it being inkable, and I think it's at least playable. Like, it's
Yep.
definitely better than Robin Hood.
Yep.
But we already have an Emerald 3 cost that it's a 3/1 that quests for 2, and whenever it's challenged, they discard a card.
Yep.
I would rather probably just play that. And that doesn't see play as is. So yeah, it's better than Robin Hood, but yeah, again, it's really not good enough, unfortunately.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think this is honestly probably the best card we've seen so far, but that's not a super high bar to clear. I
Yep.
think it is probably better than that, like 3/1 Anastasia or whatever, but
Yep.
I think like the the aggressive green decks are probably looking to do some of the other things. I don't think it's impossible that it's played in like these, if we still see these green steel chromacon type decks, but I don't think it's like a super high priority for them, and I think that those decks are more so a product of just the dominance of Blurple in this meta, more so than just being super good decks on their own. So I think like as the meta shifts, when a new set comes in and other decks are doing more powerful things and Blurple takes up less of a meta share, I don't even think that those decks will super stick around. So, I mean, I think the card's completely fine. I think it's probably the best card we've seen, but I don't think it's going to be super.
Not a high bar, right?
Played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got Jasmine then, 4 cost inkable, Soothing Princess. It's a 2/5, the quest for 2 with boost 2. One of this character quests, if there's a card under her, remove up to 3 damage from each of your other characters. I don't even think we need to talk about this card. I just don't know how impactful removing stuff is. Like, unless one of you guys are seeing something that I'm not seeing, I just think this is like a giga unplayable card.
I think it could be okay with like if you're playing your blue-yellow princess deck and then you have like Tianas and stuff that make it harder for your characters to get challenged into, and so then the three health healing is like more impactful because it's harder for them to deal 3 damage through your Tiana effects. But yeah, again, it's more so a card that like if people want to build their princess deck, it can probably slot in, and if not, you should probably not play it.
I think even in the Princess decks, I'm gonna just say I don't think it's even that good because
Yeah, maybe not.
a lot of the blue-yellow decks, similar to Amber Seal decks, the characters don't have a lot of high strength. So it's like, again, this is whenever this character quests, if there's a card you remove, so you have to control when you can do the healing. So you kind of want to be making like challenges with your characters and then be healing, and those decks just don't really do that right now. So, yeah,
Yeah, and it's like in the same slot as like the random like Snow White that can't be challenged or whatever, and so
sure,
they have a lot of other bad cards that has to contest with. So yeah,
sure,
that's
sure, sure.
probably true.
Next slide, we have this Daisy Duck, the Paranormal Investigator. This is going to be the set championship promo for Whispers in the Well. I'm going to do a little bit of a hot take. I'm not really a fan of this of this enchanted art. I don't know what's going on with her face, but it's she looks villainous. Maybe villain would like this. This looks like an evil Daisy Duck, right? Or maybe she's just a bit like mischievous. But regardless of the art, I think the effect of this card is super unique. So it's a six cost inkable 4/6 that quest for 2. It has shift 4 support, but also while this character is exerted, cards enter opponent's inkwells exerted. So while this is on the board and it's sideways, your opponent basically can't ink. They can ink, but they can't utilize that ink. So let's say they're on turn, like, I don't know, if you shift this somehow and you quest and you're on the play and your opponent uh, wants the ink to get to their next card, they'll ink and then the card will instantly enter play exerted. So it's a cool effect. It's a unique effect. I think this will definitely depend on some of the shift lines that are available. The ones that come to mind right now, obviously, I don't know how often we want to be shifting on 1 cost Daisy. I know there's 4 cost Daisy within Amber. That, even though it doesn't line up perfectly, I think that's an example of a card that would be pretty good to shift on because the body's not great after you've done the decent on play effect, if that makes sense. So if we had a type of 3 cost Daisy Duck with a similar decent on play effect, yeah, it seems like it could be a pretty good shift target. But yeah, Zach, talk to me about this ability. It's super unique, right?
Yeah, I like what you said about it being unique, so that it doesn't have to like compete with something else to be better or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is you play it and it doesn't do anything when it comes into play, so they remove it.
Yep.
It's really not high impact enough for a 6 cost, I don't think, but I'll say it has potential. Most of these cards so far don't really have potential, so at least this one, like, yeah, it has some potential. The support is nice too, so like, not the worst card
I
ever.
think you gotta shift it though. Exactly what you said. If you're just paying this for
Yeah,
6, it's doing nothing. At least if you shift, then
yeah,
the effect is kind of happening because you're likely to quest or you're likely to challenge or you're likely to sing or something instead.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
And this card gets worse as the game goes on. Like after your
Yep.
X amount of turns, like it doesn't matter if they just ink and it's exerted because you already have so much ink. So it just gets worse as time goes on, and it's really not very impactful on turn 6 most of the time. So I don't know.
Yeah, right now the only shift targets that we have that cost less than 4 are the Daisy Duck, the 1/4 in yellow, and
Hmm.
there's like a 2 mana 2/2 evasive red one. But
Yeah,
if you're playing red and blue, like you don't want to be casting characters on turn 2, you want to be ramping, right? So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we'd only see it in blue yellow. And so if we think in the context of that, then those decks are probably looking to do something like playing Daisy on turn 1 and then ramping on turn 2 and
Yep.
being able to play the card on turn 3. If you're actually able to shift this card on turn 3, it's like pretty good because the effect is more valuable, like Zach said, the earlier in the game it is, because that's when they're inking and it's a larger percentage of the ink they have access to that's getting denied. So if you shift this on turn 3 and then they go into their turn 3, they're down a third of their mana, right? And then the next turn when they ink, they're down a fourth of their mana. And then the next turn when they ink, they're down a fifth of their ink total. So every single turn that goes on, it's a smaller and smaller percentage of their total ink that gets denied. So it's really something you're looking to do kind of early. I think if you're actually curving like Daisy into Tipo into this, and then this is like supporting your Tipo, and then your Tipo is hitting something for 5, and now your opponent is down a third of their ink going into their next turn, like there is something there, but I think that in general, it's like you don't have a ton of copies of Little Daisy, you don't have a ton of copies of this, and if you're ever hard casting this on turn 6, it's like extremely poor in my opinion. So I think like there are some interesting applications, and especially compared to some of the other set champs promos we've gotten, I think it's like pretty decent. But I think we probably need to see another like cheap shift target for it to really be something that is going to be played a ton.
That's some interesting lines though. Like at least with the like I don't know what type of deck you've even played in, but like the Daisy with the 1/4 stat line just to guarantee, like as a buddy, maybe you don't even care so much about questing with it. It's like, okay, this is a 1/4. It's very likely to live, and then suddenly you get the shift line off. Yeah, so I don't know. Amber Sapphire, maybe it's gonna have its time, and it's not just gonna be an aggro deck, right? It could be something else. So yeah, cool. Moving on, we got a
Yeah.
few more whispers to take a look at. These are some promo cards. Zeus missing his mark, 3 cost inkable, 2/3 that quest for 2. With boost 2, while there's a card under this character, he gets +2 strength and +2 willpower. It's a 5 cost 4/5 that quests for 2 in a sense. Uh, but it's interesting what you mentioned, Tiago, about how, if something's like boost 3 or if it's boost 2, how can you kind of pair that along with other characters? So this card could curve out nicely potentially if you play this on turn 3 and then on turn 4 you boost 2 and then you play like another 2-drop. That's like kind of like the curve you want to be going for. Um, is it good enough to see play? I don't know. We don't have so many cards like this that gives like just give characters like +2/+2. I also don't know how much you can interact with boosted cards. Can you remove their boosts? Can you, we don't know any of that type of context. But initially, Zach, what are your feelings on this?
I think it's definitely better than some of the other cards we've seen so far. Um, yeah, I think it's better. It definitely has more potential. It's not anything that super impresses me, but yeah, it's like I said, it's better than some of the other
Yep.
ones we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when we look at this card, we should also again compare it to some of the other stat lines we've seen. So we have a bunch of cards that are 3 mana 3/3s that quest for 2. Like there's a blue Jasmine that has that vanilla stat line, and then there's also cards like the card soldiers, which are 5 ink 5/5s that quest for 2. So if this card you're spending 3 ink on it, you're missing an attack power for like compared to the other vanilla cards in the game.
Yep.
And if you're spending 5 ink on it, you're also missing an attack power compared to the other vanilla cards we have in the game. So when you look at it like that, like he's going to be understated no matter which way you're playing him, if he's boosted or not. And so you're like paying this premium to have the flexibility of changing his size depending on how much ink you have access to and what the rest of your hand dictates. So I think like since those cards are already not that good, the vanilla cards that I was just comparing him to, like he's probably going to be around the same level as those cards, which are not seeing play. But I think like it gives us an interesting way to look at these boost cards where like they're probably going to be quite a bit worse than if they were independent of their boost effect, and just because you get the flexibility of not having to play it sometimes and sometimes getting to pay the boost effect. But yeah, like you said, if there's other cards that like interact with the boost, even if it's just things like if you have this many boosted characters on the board, then you get this effect. Or if another one of your characters has a card under them, then they get this effect. So it would take something like that for a card like this to be played. But like his stat line is not the worst thing of all time, but he's gonna need like some synergy with the other cards in your deck.
Definitely. This Scar is a 5-cost uninkable Sapphire card, 6/5 quest for 2. Whenever you put a card under this character, it shows an opposing character gets -5 strength this turn. Boost 2. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I don't think this is a very good card at all. But if you guys see anything there, let me know. Stat lines are like fine, but we used to play like just 5-cost 5/6s that quested for 1 back
Yeah.
at set 1, right? It's like this is also uninkable. Like nothing about this card is
Uninkable,
very
yeah.
appealing to me, right?
The uninkable kills it for sure.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, it's supposed to like freeze their board because like they can't quest into you because then you can shrink their guy and then attack into it. But again, uninkables are so taxed in this game and it's so expensive that you can really never justify putting this card in your deck.
Next, we have the Great Illuminary, 2-cost inkable location with 3 willpower, cost 1 ink to move. It has lore, and then characters gain exert draw a card while here. Now, this is an interesting location. It has a very, very, very small amount of willpower. So how I kind of look at this card is it's the type of card you want to play and move your characters to when you have enough ink. It's actually you kind of look at this card the same way you look at Dumbo in a sense. When you don't want to play Dumbo immediately, you want to play Dumbo once you've established some evasive characters, and then you start spending your ink to get the effect. It's the same thing here, and it's kind of comparable to Dumbo in a sense where you're paying 1 to move the character there, and you get to draw a card. You don't gain a lore, so it's a little bit worse, but it can be used on any character, not just evasives. Yeah, this is a bit of a weird one. I like the design of it though. I think it's super, super interesting. It's like a completely different take on locations from what we've seen before. And then even once the location kind of hits the board, it forces your opponent to at least exert one of their cards. Like let's say they even have like a Captain Hook. It at least forces that card to challenge into this, leaves that exerted, and then maybe the rest of your characters, depending on how many you have on the board, can kind of take that out. So, in theory, I actually really, really like this card. It's just in practice, I don't know how it fits into specific Amethyst decks. Thiago, would love to hear your take.
Yeah, I definitely think this card's super interesting. I think like the 3 willpower means that it's never ever sticking, right? It's kind of funny that it gives you a lore at the start of your turn because like this is never surviving a turn ever.
Yeah.
Um, we're never gonna see it played on turn 2, right? It's a card that you're gonna want to play like 1 cost, 2 cost, 3 cost, and then you play your genie on 4, and then on turn 5 you play this and move all of your cheap characters into it and exert them all to draw cards. You have to be careful with these kind of effects because like if you're exerting things like Captain Hook and like Calhoun or whatever, then it's allowing them to put their like 2 cost character into your Captain Hook and then take that out, and then you're like losing a lot of the presence you had on the board and like losing value. So like the card draw you got is like pretty diminished because you're like giving up the value you're that you have on board. Like your Captain Hook's not trading 1 for 1 anymore, right? It's trading for just a single point of damage on their guy. So you need to be careful with this kind of effect, but I think it's definitely super interesting, and I would not be shocked if this card ends up seeing play. I think being able to turn your like Diablos into a card in the mid game is like super super strong. So I would not be shocked if this card ends up being good, but I don't think it's like the greatest card I've ever seen.
Okay, so we've got Elsa exploring the unknown next. 3 cost inkable 1/3. That quest for 1. When you play this character, you may draw a card. It's just Maleficent Sorceress, just with a 1/3 stat line. I mean, people played Maleficent Sorceress in set 1. If people just want more cards,
Mhm.
maybe this is played. But I mean, would you play a 1/3 over a 2/2 now? I guess is the question.
I think a lot of that has to do with like, do you have the crab effects to boost it up to make it
Mm-hmm.
better?
Mm-hmm.
And part of the reason we played Maleficent is because it was super easy to sing friends with it afterwards, and now we don't have friends to sing. So I think this Elsa could be played, and it mostly could depend on if we want to shift on top of it with like the 8 cost or something, or if the queen or sorcerer tags matter. So like this card's perfectly fine,
I
but you need
think
stuff built around it like the crabs and such.
Mm-hmm.
if the Maleficent Sorceress were in the game right now, then people would play it because the card quality is just so low. Like I think a lot of the purple decks really want 3 costs, and so if they had it, I do think that a 2/2 stat line is much better than a 1/3 stat line right now, especially since Let the Storm Rage On is not in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But like Zach said, if you have the 8 cost Elsa to shift on it, then it's like probably it better than Sorceresses just as a 3 cost that replaces itself, but I think it's probably not good enough if the 8 drop else is the only shift target that we have.
Sure. This next card, I'm excited. This is the Black Cauldron. 3 cost uninkable with an amber legendary item. With the first ability, the Cauldron Calls. You can exert this, pay 1 ink, put a character card from your discard under this item face up. And then another ability, Rise and Join Me. Exert, pay 1 ink. This turn you may play characters from under this item. So it's kind of like delayed getting your characters back. So initially, okay, right now in this meta, you would probably never, ever, 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 ever play this card because it just seems giga slow.
Mm.
In okay, Tiago, I'm gonna say this to you because you know what I'm talking about. Imagine Control Warrior mirror matches where the games go on for so long. Every card matters. This card seems quite good. So if we ever get to super slow control versus control decks, this seems pretty interesting. I don't know if we will ever get to that like soon because aggro decks still seem to be pretty fast and pretty good. And this is uninkable. It's not even inkable. Where in those matchups you can kind of just put it down. But I like the idea of this card in a very slow meta. I don't think it will be played right now. That's my initial thoughts.
Yeah, I think like a card like this. So basically, what it does is if you always have a character in your discard pile, it's basically like drawing you a card every single turn, but it's super delayed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it allows you to play the characters that are under it, and every turn it puts 1 character under it, and so you're able to play that without like taxing any of the cards that are in your hand. So if the game were to hypothetically go on for 30 turns and you play this on turn 3, like you're gonna have access to like 25 more resources than your opponent will. So like if it's super super slow, um, I think that this card can be good. You do end up running into the like if that ends up being the context of the meta, then people would probably just play item destruction. But I think if you have like cards like Hades, that you would maybe be playing in a control deck like this where you can get back and then it gets you like extra double value because it banishes a character when it comes in, and then also is a body that's gonna challenge into their characters or eat removal spells, then it gets even better. But I think right now, like the yellow just as a color is not super it's not
Controlly,
super well
right?
positioned to be
Yeah.
a control deck, so
Mm.
I think that it's kind of not super. It doesn't make a ton of sense in the context of the other yellow cards that we have access to, at least right now.
Mm-hmm. Does this speak to you at
Yeah, I
all,
completely.
Zach?
I mean, I completely agree with everything you guys have said. I like the card, but man, is it slow!
Mm-hmm.
Wow, and it's uninkable. So like against aggro decks, it's the worst card imaginable. And yellow is not known to be a control deck, so like that's so weird. I like the card; it's cool. It has potential maybe in the future, but it's going to be in those long grindy games like you're talking about for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's very slow.
It's weird that it's in Amber. I agree. It's like usually you would think a card like this would be within Sapphire because a lot of like item synergy. But I
Mm.
also understand why it's in Amber because it has discard synergy, which is a big Amber thing, right? We've got like Circle of Life, we've got Lilos, we have like the Revive card as well that was an enchanted. So, um, I mean, it'd be interesting to see if Amber could be taken in this like different direction. So it's also legendary. I mean, I don't know. It's we've seen plenty of legendary cards in the past that aren't good, but if they've made this item a legendary item, maybe they feel like there is something like again, we have very minimal context. This is like the initial cards we're seeing within the set, so maybe something comes in that surprises us. Moving on, we have the Horned King. It's a 1-cost inkable 2/2 with an Amethyst. Just quest for 1. It's just basically the shift line. Then you have 4-cost inkable 3/4 that quest for 2 with shift 2. Whenever one of your other characters is banished in a challenge, you may return that card to your hand, then choose and discard a card. Um, shift 2 is good. You get a 3/4 that quest for 2, but uh, I think you can just probably play this in some type of like Amethyst, Amber, aggro deck, maybe. But it depends on how much removal and stuff is in the game too. Like it's this to me. I don't know. If we weren't in like post rotation meta, this just screams, "Oh, this seems really good in sealed and limited play, but never sees play in normal constructed." But I'd be curious, Zach. I'm gonna start off with you here. If you see some potential here, maybe.
Well, I mean, we've seen this effect since set one, so
Yep.
we've already had 9 sets to tell us that it that it doesn't see play. Plus, this is just worse because those you didn't have to discard.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
this is a lower cost than all of the cards before, I think, that did this, but still, like, it's just yeah, it's a sealed card, definitely a sealed card.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's costing you a card to get back a card, so like you're not really building any advantage on it. So you need the card that you're getting back to be doing like a very specific effect. So it has to be like you're getting back like a dock so that the dock can like turn into more cards, or you're getting back like a Daisy Duck so you can like turn your card advantage into like a big presence on board and like very cheap questing numbers. But I think like I can't really imagine a world where this card would be super playable.
We need some other cards that synergize with them getting discarded. Like I know in Riftbound, for example, there's a card within I think it's the Jinx deck that's like if it gets discarded, it's like just like a 3/3 that you get to play for free. I know Hearthstone had effects like that as well, where like if
Yeah.
you discarded a specific card, you would just summon the card for free. So if there's more like if somehow this like discard element starts to become more of a benefit than a disadvantage, then some of these cards start to get better. I like the idea of that happening, but uh I don't know. I'm guessing that might be a direction that they're trying to lean because also choosing and discarding a card isn't natively like an amethyst thing. I think that's usually like steel, right? Or at least we've seen like emerald do it, like draw and discard. So um, maybe they're looking to add something in, and it also I guess it still synergizes with the flavor of the Horned King, right? He's like sacrificing something to get a different character back. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. If we have cards that have on discard effects, then something like this is quite interesting because you get to like pick any card you that has that effect and then discard it, so you get to make all of these big advantages where now you're getting a card back and you're getting this discard effect. But I don't even know if we would see something like that because we have so many of these like Mulans and Simbas and Bobby
Mm.
Zimmerowskis that have these super
That
accessible
they'd be
discard
too
effects.
strong then.
So like maybe those
Yeah.
cards would be like insanely busted.
Yeah.
But if we do see something like that, then I think that this card would definitely be good in that context.
Makes sense. Okay, I'm gonna breeze through these next ones. We've got Henway, the Prophetic Pig. It's a 2-cost inkable 1/4 with a Sapphire that quests for 1. It's basically scry 1 from Magic. Whenever it quests, you look at the top card of your deck, and you can put it either on the top or the bottom of your deck. Then you got Henway's Vision, 1-cost inkable. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck, put 1 on the top of your deck, and the rest on the bottom. So this is just scry 4 on an action. I like how Henway's Visions is kind of similar-ish to the Vision of the Future. It's definitely not as good for 1 ink less, but yeah. Isn't there another card within Sapphire? Is it like something about like the water, something water? It's like an uninkable 1-cost that lets you like reorder the top cards of your deck as well. I can see the art in my head, but that card was never played. Well, it's uninkable, so of course it's never going to see play, but um I don't know how often like reordering the top cards of your deck is going to matter in constructed. In maybe you'd play these cards in sealed to get rid of the chaff and make sure you get your big bombs out. But even then, it doesn't seem that good. Zach, I can see
Yeah.
you're thinking about it.
So like the action card would have to be part of some broken combo somehow. I don't even know what it would be, but it would have to be part of some combo to be good, I think.
Yep.
And like, what movie is this pig from? I feel like I've never seen this pig before in my life. I have no idea.
It is from the Black Cauldron. I kind of paired them together.
Okay.
Yeah. I've never watched the Black Cauldron though, but I
Yeah, me neither.
I made
That's
sure
cool.
to find out where this guy was from.
And 1/4, like I just hate that stat line. I'm just not a fan. So yeah.
Sure. All right. Moving on. We've got 2 cool cards to talk about. We've got Gaston, which is an Amber 3/3. It's 2-cost and inkable. Quest for 1. Boost 2, whenever this character quests, if there's a card under him, chosen opposing character can't challenge and must quest if able during their next turn. So, straight off the bat, it's just a 2-cost 3/3 quest for 1, so it's an overstated card. But this is, if you didn't have any of the boost ability, I think this is basically just what a vanilla 3/3 that costs 2 would be. It would just be uninkable, because so far we've seen Raja, which kind of has the downside. We've seen Madam Mim, which has what they probably conceived to be a downside, which is technically always an upside whenever you play that card, to protect your characters or to replay on play effects. But this Gaston, the general stat line is fine. The boost is like the boost effect is super unique here, so it allows you to basically, when you quest, you deny one of your opponent's cards from challenging into it. So in general, I'm really intrigued by the effect of the card. I think the difference between boost 1 and boost 2 is huge though, and boosting 2 seems like it's a lot for this card to make it work, but I could see it maybe being okay, because if you can at least just get this like 2-cost uninkable 3/3 out as a body, it seems okay, and then maybe use the boost effect later. But we've still got cards like Captain Hook, we've still got cards like Calhoun that are just pretty decent into this like 3/3 stat line, and the value of why we still play a lot of these 2-cost 3/3s within the meta now is that they're also just inkable. Like Raja, like you don't just always jam Raja, right? You just put it into the inkwell most of the time as well. So, Thiago, I'd love to start with you, because I know you've played Raja, you've played around with this like kind of these 2-cost stat lines, so you really value cards like this. What's your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I actually think that this card's super decent.
Oh, okay.
I think Raja is like pretty well positioned right now. I think he attacks so many of the decks super well. I think just having 3 health on turn 2 is like really challenging for many decks to deal with. I think like you're almost never gonna use this boost ability on Curve. I think you're gonna like play him on turn 2. He's like an overstated card. He can test the board super well. If they don't have something like Captain Hook or Calhoun, like if they're just not playing a steel deck or something like that, then he's going to be able to make a lot of headway into the board. And his effect is like kind of interesting in the context of the meta now, because if you are able to boost him and then quest in, then you can make like their Madam Mim Elephant not able to challenge back because it's forced to quest, right? It's like reverse reckless basically that he gives somebody. So with the cards that purple are playing right now, like it's really important for them to set up Bell Accomplish Mystic. And so if you're able to use this effect on like their only character that has more than 3 health, that has like 4, 5, 6 health, that are able to hold 3 damage for Bell Accomplish Mystic, and you're able to turn that off, then it can like be super super you can blow them out of the game and snowball it super super quickly. So I think like if there, I don't know if you would like play this in Amber Steel, for example, because like that deck has so many uninkables you want to play. You already aren't playing like Calhoun's and Nalas typically, and this would like kind of fit in that slot. But I think like some other sort of aggressive yellow deck could, this card could certainly see play, and I think it's like completely reasonable. So I think I'd be very interested to trying this guy out.
Yeah, reasonable is the exact word I thought of when I saw this card. I like the card. 3/3 is amazing on two. Of course, the uninkable hurts a little bit, but yeah, just the stats are fantastic. So I like the card. I think it's good. And then the boost is kind of a bonus. Like you would play this card sometimes just as the 3/3 and be happy with it, but having the boost is a little bit of a bonus that might work sometimes. So I think this card's pretty solid.
Cool. Yeah. Uh, Zach, I'll let you read out this next card, and you can give us your initial thoughts if you want.
Okay, so we got Demona, 6 cost, 5/6 quest for two, and it says when you play this character, exert all opposing characters. Then each player with fewer than 3 cards in their hand draws until they have three. Then it's got another ability. If you have three or more cards in your hand, this character can't ready. So I think this card has a lot of potential. In the past, I was looking to play the 7 cost, I believe it was Anna, to answer stuff like Prince John that was warded that you couldn't deal with otherwise. So having this effect as an inkable card is nice to have in the game at least. I think the problem that I would see with this is that it costs 6, and decks like Purple Steel is kind of hard to get the 6 ink to use this very effectively. So I think it's a very very good card. I like having this effect available in the game, and then I guess we'll just see see where it fits within the decks, being that 6 cost character.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think that this is going to be a card that if it's played a lot, like it's going to be extremely easy to play around. Where like right now, it against blue green, since we know they're trying to play Clarabelle on their shift when they have 5 ink, then you're just able to dump out your entire hand to like minimize its effect as best possible. And so all of like the opponents when you're playing a purple deck and you're like trying to ink to 6 are just gonna ink their cards and have no hand by turn 6. So that when you play this, it's like gonna draw them 3 cards, which is like really, really devastating if you ever play your own character and it draws your opponent 3 cards. So I think it's like gonna be a really easy card to play around in that context. So we really have to value this like exerting all opposing characters text. So if that we can definitely make our deck in a way where we have a lot of like Captain Hooks and Rafikis and Calhoun's to like be able to utilize this. And I think it would have to be in some purple deck that can slant more aggressive like a purple steel, because I think if you're playing a deck like Blurple and you're playing against Amber Steel and you're drawing them 2 cards on your 6 ink turn, like that's never gonna be good. And so also a deck like Blurple, you need to um, when you exert their guys, you really want to be able to like utilize Bell Accomplished Mystic to like maximize it. But then if you spend the ink on this, then you can't also spend your ink on her. So I think it's going to be in a more aggressively slanted purple deck, but those decks have a lot of difficulty inking to 6, like Zach said. So I think I don't know. It's going to be an interesting card to take a look at, but I think it's maybe not good enough.
Sure. Yeah. I think it has some potential. I'm interested to see what the other gargoyles are going to be like as well. Um, just to note, I know there were some other cards that were shown off by like Amazon and stuff like this, like Whisper, Ruby Beast, and some other cards. Probably get into them in other episodes. Like myself and Moyne have gone back and forth previously on like how many cards we review each set. I don't know if I want to do every single card anymore because it takes a lot out of us, right? I kind of want to get the cards that at least the community finds the most interesting. But for this initial batch, I think it's cool to discuss all the cards that have been revealed so far. But moving on, we are going to be moving into Winterspell. This is going to be set 11. I believe this drops in February, which is the month when it's going to be releasing. So this won't be legal for Richmond because I think Richmond is January, but for the DLC in Belgium and Ghent, this set will be legal, which is super 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 cool. So a real like snowy theme coming right after Christmas. I think the aesthetic of this set is like super super dope. We see like the booster packs. If you guys zoom in really closely, you can see like this like winter Tinkerbell, we have Angel, we have Darkwing Duck. But getting into some of these cards, this first one, play draw disparity. Are they finally addressing it? We have Angel, Siren, Singer. 2 cost inkable 2/2 that quest for 1. With the underdog ability, if this is your first turn and you're not the first player, you pay 1 less ink to play this character. And it has Singer 3. Zach, talk to me about this. I know you were like, back in the day in like set 2, you were Amber Steel all the way, right? Like you're a huge, huge Amber
Yep.
Steel fan. So does this card make you miss Cindy? Does it give you Cindy vibes?
It gives me some trauma from the Cindy mirrors being going second and them playing the Cindy first.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been asking for cards that say stuff like this, that say when you go second, now you actually have an advantage. Whereas first, obviously, we all know that play draw disparity is massive, maybe bigger this set than ever. So I am so happy to see them addressing it in whatever ways they can. On this card specifically, like I think it's going to be super contextual to the 3 cost songs that we have, of course.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're not going to put this card in your deck to where past turn 1 you're playing a 2 cost 2/2 that doesn't really do anything. Just regardless, I am just thrilled to see them addressing the issues. So very happy about that.
For sure.
Yeah, I think if like we have a lot of these effects, then I'd be curious to see if like it ever becomes correct to like want to go second, because like in the old Steel Song Mirrors, like there was this really, really annoying game of like whoever played the first Cinderella like gets to sing Let the Storm Rage On the other person's Cinderella, and they're just never even in the game. Whereas like if you have like 12 of these effects on this Angel, and then like you get to choose to go second so that you always have the initiative on singing the card to take out their singer. But I think that we're probably like kind of far away from that point. But I'd be interested to see if that's like something that ever ends up becoming the case, because it like sounds so foreign to us to ever want to go second in the game right now. But I think this card again, like it's gonna depend if we have good 3 cost songs. I think right now we are currently seeing Troubadour played with like only Strength of a Raging Fire in your deck. But I don't know if we would see this card played under that same context.
I think it's a great point
So
you raised. Go ahead, Zach. Go ahead.
back in the day in Pokemon, it was actually you actually wanted to go second because you could play supporters and stuff, which are like actions or whatever in this game. You could play supporters on the second turn, but you couldn't do it going first. So while going first was still great for a lot of reasons, it was balanced in the fact that you wanted to go second too to play the actions. So I could see that being the case, and play draw was not near as bad when that was the case in the Pokemon trading card game. So I'm excited if we ever get to that point.
Yeah, I think right now my initial thoughts would be, even with cards like this existing right now, going first is still just very strong. And I think I like the idea of these cards existing where if you just happen to be going second, you're not so far behind. And also it's hard because if there is some like broken openers you can do when you're going second, you can't. I mean, if you're it would matter depending on like after you like if you like lose game 1 or not. It's like, okay, maybe I want to go first second if your deck is specifically built in a way where going second gives you an advantage, but it would have to be so built in that way, because when you roll the dice you don't get to see your hand first, right? You roll the dice and you decide who goes first or second. So your deck would literally have to be so built around wanting to go second that you're okay with losing the dice roll the whole time, or you always pick going second, right? So I think I'm personally of the opinion that I just like the idea of these cards existing, that they just help with the play draw disparity, and they might not switch it the whole way over, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because if you end up making your like if both players' decks are like 60 of these cards that they rather go second with, and so like every game both players only ever want to go second, so like then it flips into the other way where it's like the die roll still matters. It's just that now whoever wins the die roll is choosing to go second, and then when they win a game, then their opponent gets to choose to be second, and then for game 3 after they lose, they get to choose to be second again. So it's like you still have to balance it to the point where it's not like way better to choose to go second, because then the die roll is like still a problem, just flipped around. So yeah.
Yep. Moving on to this Stitch Carefree Snowboarder. I love the flavor of this card. It's literally like Surfer Stitch, except it's a little bit cheaper. So it's a 5 cost inkable 4/5 that quests for 2. Pretty pretty good stats. Seems like an okay started card. I think that's a great baseline, by the way, that you mentioned, Thiago. I think people should always try and look at these cards like what are the vanilla stat lines, and then how much does the effect take away from what those original stats would be. So this is bring your friends ability. Whenever this character quests, if you have 2 or more other characters in play, you may draw a card. I think Surfer Stitch is kind of just better because it does it instantly. This card has to survive. This card could be instantly removed potentially. But flavor-wise, stat-wise, depending on what removal's in the game, it seems like an okay card. Seems like a cool card, honestly.
Yeah, I think you nailed it there. The reason Carefree Surfer is much better is just it doesn't have to survive to get the effect.
Yep.
It just happens immediately. So even though this costs 2 less, yeah, not doing it when it comes into play is a huge negative.
For sure.
Yeah, I think the only thing is that this card can do it multiple times. So like if this card ever survives, like the game just completely ends. Like if you ever get 2 activations off of this, like then the game is over. So I think like when you play the Carefree Surfer, then they can kind of just ignore it, and then the body is like not as relevant as this body, where this one, as soon as it comes in, it has to be answered no matter what. And like there's not a ton of efficient answers to a body like this without and then along came Zeus in the game, so it like has to be exactly like Elsa when you already have a board, or like Hades. And so I think like there's definitely a meta that like a card like this could be strong in.
It's a great point you mentioned about it being potentially repeatable for sure. So it's kind of even like a higher threat than the Surfer Stitch, because they have to remove this or else you just kind of accrue too much value from it potentially.
Yeah, because after you draw the cards from the Surfer Stitch, then like you can kind of ignore the 4/8 body. Like it'll get some nice trades on the board or whatever, but like it's not super threatening. So you can kind of just like keep playing the game, whereas this, like the entire plan warps.
Yep. The next cards we're going to be looking at here is Darkwing Duck. It's 4-cost uninkable 3/5 that quests for 1. Whenever this character quests, you may put an item card from your discard on the bottom of your deck. If you do, you may play an item with cost 5 or less from your discard for free. So, seems like a super powerful ability, honestly, but it's extremely contextual right now. There's like no items in the meta. I would be very curious to see what type of items come into the meta. Before we actually start talking about this card's effect, I do want to point out something that's really cool that some people might have missed about this card. It has a new classification. It has a super classification, which previously we saw like on the Winnie the Pooh Honey Wizard. It got honey added to it within Fable set 9. If you notice, within set 2 it didn't have the honey classification. So it's interesting to me that they put super on Darkwing Duck, and then I also took a little look back at like Super Goof and some of these older cards that don't have super. So to me it's like, okay, maybe these cards could be reprinted in the future and also have this kind of cool tag with some cool synergy. So just a little cool thing I wanted to point out there. But Zach, I'll start with you. Like it's nearly impossible to evaluate this though. I feel like it's so unfair to ask you like what are your thoughts, right?
Obviously right now it's not anything. And it needs so much to go right. Like you need an item in there to put on the bottom, and then you need another 5 cost, and that 5 cost needs to be really good. Like it needs a lot to go right, and it's uninkable. So obviously now it's not good, but who knows in the future?
Yeah.
I think if you ever compare this card to like Tamatoa Happy as a Clam that like also can cheat out items for you, then it like this card falls so short. You don't get the value immediately when it comes in that Tamatoa does, and so it has to survive. And then as we talked about earlier, being a 4-cost character that doesn't give you value when you come in is like really rough in this meta, because you're running into like the turn where they're allowed to sink Strength of Raging Fire, or the turn that Blurple has ramped into Elsa. So I think like we're gonna need a lot of interesting item support for this card to ever be good.
There is like technically 2 whole sets before we even see this come into play though. So that's why I think this is the problem, where you get so far ahead of like, oh, let's examine cards from like 5 sets ahead. It's like it's not even worth talking about them because the whole meta is so different. But this Launchpad card, I will say, right now it doesn't seem that good. It has this like sure repeatable effect that you can keep exerting it and you can keep drawing some cards. So just for the audio listeners, there's a 2-cost linkable 2/3 that quest for 1 with the exert ability to draw a card, and then you have to choose and discard a card unless you have a Darkwing duck in play. I I think if this was an inkable card, I don't even know if I would play it that much. And I guess that's, just because it has a repeatable effect, I understand maybe that's why they want to make it uninkable, but this card does not blow me away at all, personally.
No, uninkable is like the nail in the coffin here. It already wasn't very good.
Yep.
I think for this card to be good, you need a Launchpad cheap shift target, and you're shifting on this with its bonus effect of sometimes cycling a card. Not impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's a ton of Darkwing ducks that are super, super excellent, then this card technically has fine stats, but I don't think the stat line's very good in a meta where all the steel decks are playing a bunch of Calhoun's and stuff.
It's
so
only ever used
I
once,
think,
right? Yeah, like you
yeah.
just get used once and then okay. So it also has to survive. If it gets used once, just let me do it on play, and then I'm happy. At least just let me get the card once it comes into play. So, yep. Okay, and then moving on, the very last slide we have here. This is a little teaser into set 12. This is Wilds Unknown. We see Buzz and Woody from Toy Story. Zach, I mean, everybody knows how much you love Toy Story, man. You got like the spork. You wear like your Buzz Lightyear tops and hoodies, and have you still got your Crocs as well? I was gonna show something now. He just has a Buzz Lightyear.
I got a Buzz Lightyear ready to go.
He's ready for this set, man.
Yeah, obviously love Toy Story, everything about it. So I am super pumped. If there is not an enchanted Buzz Lightyear, I will riot. So Ravensburger, I hope you're listening. Make that enchanted Buzz Lightyear, and we'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm so hyped for this. Not only is Toy Story coming, but this is like going to be the introduction of Pixar. I don't know if they're just doing Toy Story for this set and if they'll do other properties. I would love for them to do multiple Pixar properties in this initial set, but Toy Story alone, with it being like, the main set art, I think it's going to attract so many people.
Oh, yeah.
I'm incredibly hyped for this. Also, one thing I want to mention is, from what they've said, I believe this is going to be, it just says Q2 of 2026. This could be the set that comes out, like, I think a week or two, I'm hoping, before the DLC in Dortmund in Germany. So we could get like all of these new cards, but then also it's Infinity DLC, which is just like, it's just bonkers, right? It's going to be absolutely wild. So I'm so pumped. Thiago, I'll pass it over to you. I'm going to ask, besides Toy Story, what are some of the Pixar properties you're just like hyped to see, I guess?
Oh man, that is a tough question. Let me
I put you on the spot. Thiago's Googling Pixar properties.
Is easily the coolest, but I think one of my favorite movies over the past several years has been Inside Out. I think that's such a cool movie with such a cool just idea behind it. I think also if we can get The Incredibles, that is also a total banger, and if I can get a Lightning McQueen card, that'd also be sick. So those are some I'm looking forward to. I think Q2 in 2026, if that's when it comes out, is super, super impactful for the professional circuit, because I think that's what almost, if not all, of the continental championships are going to be played under. I know that one or both of the Brazilian DLCs will also be played under that. So if that's the case, then it's going to be super, super impactful, which is going to be a really interesting way to debut Pixar into the game. So
I think that's correct. Judging on how frequently the sets come out and stuff, if it's Q2, depending on how early in Q2 it is, the next set could be out, because I think from what they initially said, Continentals is September next year-ish. So if it comes out in end of May, June, we could have all of summer, and then set 13 could come out as well. So I have no idea on timelines, but in general, yes, it's just super dope that we're going to get Pixar for when things are really going to be kicking off for the competitive circuit. But yeah, you mentioned it. I think Inside Out works really well with the inks as well. You've got Sadness and Sapphire. You've got Joy and Amber. You've got Anger and Ruby, right? I think that would be so dope. For me, Monsters Inc. is just it's the property, man. I would lose my. I want locations like the scare floor. I want items like the scream tanks. I want a song card called "Put That Thing Back Where It Came From" or "So Help Me." That's what I want, bro. I'm so hyped. I'm so hyped. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this week's episode. I want to give you guys an opportunity to shout yourselves out and do all of the usual stuff. So yeah, go ahead. I'll start with you, Zach.
Oh, I think you guys know where to find me at this point. Basically just on X right now, and stop by here anytime you'll have me. So yeah, shout out to the community. Appreciate everybody's support. Like me and Thiago went to Bologna together, and the amount of people that came up to us, across the world, they came up to us wanting pictures and autographs and stuff was crazy. So always grateful for that.
Awesome, man. And Thiago?
Yeah, just to echo everything Zach said, like it is super super cool to like go around and then see all of the people in the community. I think it's kind of hard to like see how many people you're like reaching from just like behind your screen. So going into these DLCs and being able to meet everybody has been super super cool, and I'm looking forward to the entire season of that. If you guys want to find me, just twitter.com, TiagoXS23, and I have a Metafy that just has a Purple Steel guide right now. So if you want to play Purple Steel this set champs or DLC season, definitely check that out. I'm not doing coaching or anything like that until after Milwaukee. I know a lot of people have been asking, but yeah, Metafy at Thiago Santana, and that's it.
Link in the description, ladies and gentlemen. But yes, before we close it out, myself, Zach, and Thiago, I believe all three of us will be present at DLC Milwaukee. I'm looking forward to interacting with the NA community. It was amazing when myself and Kim went over last time for Ink in Maryland. So I'm hyped. I don't know how well I'll do at the DLC, but I'll give it my best. I'll enjoy it. I've said this many times. I can go to a Lorcana event. I'm a competitive player. I want to do the best I can do, but even if I have an awful weekend, I'm always surrounded by the best people, and that's what makes this community just so special. So I'm hyped either way, win or lose, and yeah,
You're
I'm
gonna
hyped.
own. Like, let's be so for real. You're gonna do
I
great.
hope so, bro. Toronto was the event I got the closest. I needed like basically 1 point to make day two. I was gutted, man. That's also
It's
when I
because you came.
yeah, I was gonna say that's
It's because
also
you came to North America. It's easy for you over here.
bro. I don't know, guys. Thiago was talking some smack when I saw him in Bologna, bro. Thiago's like, these European events, bro, top 32, it's easy. What do you mean? So I have to show him what it means for Europeans to come over and compete in these NADLCs. But yeah. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this episode of the podcast, number one you can do is leave us a review over on Apple Podcast, Spotify, your local podcast platform. There's a video version available over on youtube.com/ at Podcana podcast. Twitters are at Kawatech_CG, at Zach Bivens1, I believe, and at Thiago XS23. Hey, I'm good at this. I'm good at my job. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.